Radhe Prabhu, you remodeled your garage.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our revered speaker for today, His Grace KAUNTEYA Prabhu. And all glories to assembled Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, we thank you all for being here. Today is Tuesday, the 28th of January 2025. Prabhuji, we very much appreciate your presence here. And devotees, we encourage you all to be very attentive. And we hope at the end of the class, we'll all be nourished by Shri Krishna Katha. So without further ado, Prabhuji, we may put the verse on the screen. And devotees, we also want to help you understand where our speaker is speaking from. He's speaking from India, and it's quite late his time. So we try to be mindful of time also. Prabhuji, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Panena te deva katha sudhaya pravriddha bhaktya vishadashayaye vairagya saram pratilabdhya bodham yatanjasam viyur akunta dishnyam. Panena, by drinking, te, you, deva, O Lord. By the way, let me say that this is a verse spoken by the devas to the Lord. These are the devatas, the demigods, who are praying to the Lord, expressing their appreciation, their understanding. Katha, topics, sudaya, of the nectar, pravriddha, highly enlightened, bhaktya, by devotional service, vishada ashraya, with a greatly serious attitude, yea, those who, vairagya, saram, the entire purport of renunciation, pratilabdhya, achieving, bodham, bodham, intelligence, yata, as much as, anjasa, quickly, ambiyuhu, achieve, akunta dishnyam, Vaikuntha Loka, in the spiritual sky. Translation. O Lord, persons who, because of their serious attitude, attain the stage of enlightened devotional service, achieve the complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge, and attain the Vaikuntha Loka in the spiritual sky, simply by drinking the nectar of your topics. Purport by His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The difference between the impersonalistic mental speculators and the pure devotees of the Lord is that the former pass through a miserable understanding of the absolute truth at every stage, whereas the devotees enter into the kingdom of all pleasures, even from the beginning of their attempt. The devotee has only to hear about devotional activities, which are as simple as anything in ordinary life. And he also acts very simply, whereas the mental speculator has to pass through a jugglery of words which are partially facts and make show for the maintenance of an artificial impersonal status. In spite of his strenuous efforts to attain perfect knowledge, the impersonalist attains merging into the impersonal oneness of the Brahmajyoti of the Lord, which is also attained by the enemies of the Lord, simply because of their being killed by him. The devotees, however, attain to the highest stage of knowledge and renunciation and achieve the Vaikuntha Lokas, the planets in the spiritual sky. The impersonalist attains only the sky and does not achieve any tangible transcendental bliss, whereas the devotee attains to the planets where real spiritual life prevails. With a serious attitude, the devotee throws away achievement like so much dust, and he accepts only devotional service, the transcendental culmination. Om Agyati Mirandasya Gananjana Sarakaya Chakshurun Meditamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namam Vishwapada Krishna Pastai Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So I'd like to read the translation again, if you'd like to repeat after me. O Lord,
O Lord,
persons who,
persons who,
because of their serious attitude,
because of their serious attitude,
attain the stage of enlightened devotional service,
attain the stage of enlightened devotional service,
achieve the complete meaning of renunciation,
achieve the complete meaning of renunciation
and knowledge,
and knowledge,
and attain the Vaikuntha Loka
and attain the Vaikuntha Loka
in the spiritual sky,
in the spiritual sky,
simply by drinking the nectar of your topics.
simply by drinking the nectar of your topics.
So here, Srila Prabhupada says something that we are all familiar with, some principles, some tenets of Krishna consciousness. We have probably heard many times. But he also uses a different terminology, different words, different expressions, and makes it, I feel, this teaching is very, very fresh, very actual. So basically, the verse says this: simply by enjoying the hearing of the pastimes of Krishna, the reality about Krishna, the activities of Krishna, the philosophy, the theology describing Krishna, simply by doing this, one goes to Vaikuntha, goes in the personal house of the Lord, and joins the eternal associates. And by this type of devotional service, they get the perfection of renunciation and knowledge, which are we could say, bread and butter of spiritual life. There's no real spiritual life without detachment from material life and knowledge, transcendental spiritual knowledge of something beyond this world. Material knowledge can be useful, can be engaged, but in itself has no value. Now, you may know geography, you may know history, you may know chemistry, you may know biology, you may know diplomacy, you may know mathematics. You can know so many things in this world. But by themselves, this type of knowledge do not help us transcend the world. In one sense, it makes us more and more attached to this world because we think that, oh, now I know about this world. Now I can taste some of the aspects of this world, like geography. Oh, I see a map of the world. I know what country is this. I know the mountains. I know the rivers. It builds attachment to this planet. So, an important word is vairagya. In the Bhagavad Gita, Shri Krishna says that at the beginning of creation, we are all born with raga and vesha. Something we like and something we dislike. Something we love materially and something we hate. So the raga means attachment. Vairagya means no attachment. And is the status of one who has detached himself from this world. And knowledge means knowing who you are, who is God, what's the nature of this world, and the relation between these three elements. Chit, achit, Ishvara. Chit, we are chit. Chit means we are conscious unities of awareness. We are individuals forever. We just exist forever. We are never born, we never die. That's the chit. Achit means unconscious. That's the matter that surrounds us. And when I say surround us, I don't mean surrounding outside of the skin. The skin is also part of that world. The bones are also part of the world. The muscles are also part of the world. And even if you get to the subtle body, the mind is also part of that external world. The material intelligence, buddhi, is also part of that external world. Then false ego, the ahankara, the connection with the body, is also part of the outside material manifestation. So we are surrounded by matter. Chit, achit. The soul encapsulated into matter. So complex and difficult to overcome, and so appealing. Especially nowadays, technology gives us so many opportunities for distraction. You just have your phone and you can go anywhere in the world. You can see anything in the world. You can hear any music. You can see any movie, anything. So we are surrounded by this prakriti. So achit, Ishvara, the controller of both, the controller of the soul and the controller of matter. The controller of the soul, we are in the hands of God. He will decide our destination at the time of death. We can say so many things, we can think so many things, we can desire so many things, but at the time of death, when we leave this material tabernacle, this machine of blood and muscles and bones, that's God decides where we go. He's the controller. He is Ishvara. He is the controller. So, here the demigods say, those who have achieved the level of serious devotional service, they go to Vaikuntha Loka. In another purport in the Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada says that the taste of hearing about Krishna is the first qualification to enter the kingdom of God. Why? Because in the kingdom of God, there is nothing else. Everybody talks about God all day, all night. In Goloka Vrindavan, everybody's thinking of Krishna. Everybody's talking about Krishna. The relatives, the parents, the neighbors. Oh, look, no, they're always thinking of Krishna. The friends of Krishna, they're always thinking of Krishna. At night, they think, oh, tomorrow morning we'll go and tend the cows with Krishna. And the gopis are waiting. Oh, when is Krishna coming back? And the river Yamuna is waiting when Krishna is taking bath. And the trees are thinking when Krishna is going to enjoy my fruits. And the cows are waiting when Krishna is coming to tend us, to bring us to the forest, to eat grass. So in the spiritual world, there is nothing but glorification of Krishna. There's a lot of chit chat. There's a lot of discussion, but it's all centered on Krishna. So unless we, in this world of matter, in this world of darkness, we develop that taste. Yeah, I want to know, I want to hear about Krishna. I want to hear about Krishna. Then what we're going to do in the spiritual world? We will be harassed. We will be frustrated. We will be angry, because this world is made for us to think we are the center. And in the spiritual world, there is only one center. And unfortunately, that's not us. Here, we are always trying to be the center. And because we are trying to be the center, we miss who is the real center. So the demigods know the philosophy, but, you know, their opulence, their happiness, material happiness, their power, their influence, their sense gratification is so strong that it's hard to develop detachment. It's hard. They have a very long duration of life. It's hard not to enjoy it. It's there, like on a silver platter. It's hard to not to take it. So they know the philosophy. They know the philosophy of bhakti, like they're talking here in the Bhagavatam. But sometimes it's hard to be pure. It's hard to just dedicate themselves. Some do, and they move to the spiritual world. Others, they might have to come to this world. They have to come to this planet, join the Sankirtan movement. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, today I'm in Puri, so we have Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house here. And in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Lord Chaitanya revealed his six-armed form, Sadbhuj. 2 arms as a sannyasi, 2 arms as Krishna with a flute, and 2 arms as Ramachandra, holding bow and arrows. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, after this revelation, he composed 100 verses, 100 sublime poetries. And one says, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikshartam Ekam Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari. The Lord, the Supreme Lord, has appeared as Lord Chaitanya to teach Shikshartam, with the goal of teaching Vairagya Vidya and Nija Bhakti Yoga. Vairagya, detachment; Vidya, knowledge; Nija Bhakti Yoga, his own. Nija means own, his own devotional service. So we have this opportunity. We are here in the mission, in the army of Lord Chaitanya, and we have this opportunity to continue to develop our taste for Krishna consciousness, for Krishna narrations. And then if we develop enough, we go back home, back to Godhead, where we continue, but with a spiritual body. So in Krishna consciousness, the best thing we have as a group, as a community, as a society, as a movement, the best thing we have is Krishna. There's nothing better. There's nothing more attractive. Even Kaliya, the snake, when Krishna jumped inside to punish him, to ban him, even Kaliya looked at Krishna and said, wow, this boy is really extraordinarily beautiful and attractive. So the best thing we have in this movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is Krishna in his very forms, form of the holy name, form of the deities, and of course his form as revealed in the paintings, as revealed in the Bhagavatam, his words revealed in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the best thing we have to offer in our society. And the biggest problem, you know what's the biggest problem? The biggest problem is also Krishna. Why Krishna is the biggest problem? Because Krishna means the all attractive, and there is no comparison with us. So we can enjoy Krishna 24 hours a day and forever in the spiritual kingdom, but we need to get free of the envy, because we cannot stay in Krishna consciousness. We cannot go in the spiritual world unless we get rid of this envy. So Krishna is the best we can offer, but Krishna is also, in one sense, his position, his supremacy, his supreme control and attractiveness, in one sense, is also the obstacle for us, because we want to be the center, and he is the center. So ultimately, Krishna consciousness means to fully accept, embrace, and assimilate the fact I'm not the center, I'm not the tree, I am a leaf on the tree. I am a leaf on the tree. I cannot enjoy separately. When water comes, it comes to the root of the tree. I also get nourishment. But otherwise, by myself, imagine a huge tree. In Africa, you have those huge trees, baobabs. They're called baobab, right? My grandfather was actually an engineer, and he was posted in Eritrea. When Eritrea, Ethiopia, Libya was under the control of Italy for a few years only. Then they got kicked out. But he was an engineer, and he was building a dam. So sometimes my grandmother would tell me stories about Africa. And one time he told me that there was one baobab so big that they made a church inside the baobab. They carved it out, and they would actually do the mass inside the baobab. It was so big. So we are not the tree. We are leaves, and we have to accept that. If we accept that, we can be happy. We can be green, green as the color of freshness, enthusiasm, youthfulness forever. If we don't accept that, we just will be dead leaves. They become dry and fall on the ground, and they just disappear, disintegrate, like that. So this verse, as I said at the beginning, gives us, reminds us of some principles about which we heard many times, but it's always good to be reminded. The importance of detachment, the importance of knowledge, the importance of gaining taste for hearing about Krishna as the key for gaining access to the spiritual world, where there is nothing else than hearing about Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada especially blasts the impersonalists, because he say they think they have knowledge, but actually a lot it's just speculation, because they cannot get around how there can be personality, how there can be a perception of beauty, color, sentiments, emotions, without that personality being originally present in the Supreme. They try to make everything zero. They try to negate variety. They try to negate variegatedness. They say neti, neti, it's not this, it's not that, the real thing is not this. They try, but they have no alternative. So their so-called knowledge, it's a little bit of knowledge, but it's not complete. And it has to be defective, because unless you reach the knowledge of the Supreme Personality beyond everything else, unless we reach the knowledge of the center of all existence, that vortex of attraction, the source of everything, unless we reach that knowledge, our knowledge is imperfect. And we just hover on the mental platform, and we just speculate. So it's not real knowledge. It's more like make-believe. So many people are talking this and that, philosophers, false gurus, false avatars, this, that. some theologians even, they just speculate, but they don't know. They don't, even sincere people, even sincere religionists, sometimes they don't know the form of God. They know they have faith in God, but they don't know who is this God. Yesterday, 2 days ago, there was somebody told me how in here in Puri there was a retreat, and there was a mother and daughter from Iran, and she told us a story. There was the mother of a friend of her. This friend was coming to Krishna consciousness. The mother was very religious person. She was Muslim, but she was very, very saintly. So very detached, very absorbed in her culture, in her religious culture, in the Quran, in the following spontaneously all the rules, regulation. At one point, she had a near-death experience. She was very old. At one point, she went into coma for a few hours. And then when she came back, she told her children, her family, say, look, I saw God. And he's not an old man. He's very young. And the most extraordinary thing that is blue. She says, I don't know, because they never learned from the scripture, their scriptures. They never heard in their mosques, in their sermons. They never heard this. But she said, I saw God. And it's very youthful. It's like a teenager. And he's blue. He's got this bluish body. So, Krishna consciousness is universal, and sincere people will come to it. So these are some ideas about this verse. Now, if there are any comments to enrich the dialogue or any questions, I may try to answer.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. His Grace Kaunteya Prabhu. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Especially the story you ended on from the family from Iran. Very inspiring. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations, reflections, if you want to ask question, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked on mute to ask your question. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, I have a question from the text itself. And the text itself states that, let me see if I can put it back up on the screen. It says, because of their serious attitude, attaining the stage of enlightened devotional service, achieved the complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge. So I just wanted to find out what is complete renunciation and knowledge. I kind of understand a little bit about knowledge, which is knowledge of Krishna and his paraphernalia and whatever is in connection with Krishna. That I think is knowledge, is my speculation. But for renunciation, it says the meaning of renunciation. So some of us may try to renounce this or that, but we may not have the real meaning. So if you may help us with what is complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yeah, see, as you can see in the verse, what Srila Prabhupada translates as the complete meaning of renunciation, the Sanskrit is Vairagya Saram. Now, Vairagya, as I quickly explained, means the absence of raga. Raga is attachment. Vairagya is the absence. Vai is a negative prefix, like Vaikunta. Kunta means anxiety. Vaikunta means without anxiety. Here it's expressed as akunta. So sometime in Sanskrit you have these prefixes that means the opposite, like dharma, adharma, dharma and adharma, religiosity and irreligiosity. So here akunta is the same as vaikunta. And here vairagya means no raga. And saram, it's a common word in Sanskrit, in Bengali. Saram means the essence. So Srila Prabhupada, in the translation word by word, he says the entire purport of renunciation. It's another way of expressing the essence of renunciation. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there are two words used that they're not the same. They are similar, but not the same. One is tyaga, and one is vairagya. Tyaga is the act of renunciation. Like some sannyasis, some monks, they're called tyagis. In other words, they are practicing renunciation. Say they leave the family, or they decided not to have a family, or they renounce, say, opulent clothing, opulent food. They do different tapasyas, different austerities. So they are tyagis. So Krishna says tyaga is not the same as detachment, because tyaga is the activity, is the external action. But sometimes we see that the external action doesn't last. We see, unfortunately, some sannyasis in any tradition. They say no more interaction with the opposite gender, but then they can't maintain because their tyaga was not enriched by vairagya. So vairagya is more internal. It's a feeling of detachment. Then there may not be saffron clothes. There may not be a danda, a stick of a sannyasi. There may not be any title like a monk or things like that. But internally, there is a real detachment, something that we are not interested, just detachment. Imagine, for instance, devotees, for a new devotee, new devotee, maybe he renounces meat, eggs, fish. And for a new devotee, maybe an effort. Maybe they see something with eggs and they feel, oh, I would like to eat, but no, I promise. But for another devotee who is more accustomed to that, yes, the taste of Krishna Prasad, then it's vairagya. It will never touch meat, will never touch chickens or fish or beef. It's just not interested. So we see some devotees like Ramananda Roy. He was a member of the government, was a governor himself. He was married, a grihastha and everything, but he was totally detached from material enjoyment. And we have so many examples in the path of bhakti, in Chaitanya Lila, of devotees who may not have been renounciants officially or formally or socially, but they were completely detached inside. So here simply means vairagya sara means the essence. So in other words, the meaning of renunciation, which is internal, an internal lack of attraction, a complete lack of attraction. Imagine the most horrible thing you find in the street, maybe some dead rat or some dead bird. There is no effort in being detached, right? Nobody feels, oh, I want to pick it up, I want to cuddle it. No, it's just just you don't want to have anything to do with that, naturally. And knowledge, here, what it's translated as knowledge in the verse is actually bodham, or intelligence. See, intelligence means discrimination. Bodham, buddhi, bodham, buddhi. The word Buddha, for instance, means one who has got that enlightenment, that knowledge, that intelligence. It's actually buddha. but it becomes Buddha by the rules of Sanskrit. So Buddha means the enlightened. Here, the word means Vairagya Saram Pratilabhya Bodham. It achieves Pratilabhya, completely achieves Bodham. That means discrimination. Means here Srila Prabhupada is translated as knowledge. In other words, a person gets really full knowledge. Why? Because he can see everything is relation with Krishna. That's real knowledge. That's the essence of knowledge, seeing Krishna in everything. Because it's not just labeling, okay, this tree is called pine, this tree is called cypress, this tree and this vegetable is called this flower is called that. That's like just labels. But to know that, okay, the beauty beyond the flowers, the power of this tree to grow, the power to give shade, the power to produce fruits, that's Krishna. So that's the highest knowledge. So a devotee may see a flower, a blue flower or red flower. He may not know exactly botanically what's called. He may not know the scientific name. He may not even know the common name. But he knows, look at these flowers, look at the symmetry, look at the design, look at the color, look at the fragrance. This is Krishna. So that's a perfect bodham, intelligence or discrimination, when we see everything in connection with the Creator. So this is the idea, and this is not difficult. It's not difficult to see Krishna in everything, because once you hear, you can know. Okay, anything beautiful, anything absorbing, attractive, we know it's a manifestation of Krishna's energy. It's not difficult to see Krishna in everything. What is difficult is the wish to see Krishna in everything. Is the wish, the desire that I want to connect all my experiences, all my perception with Krishna, because he's the controller, he's the enjoyer, I'm the servant. That's difficult. Otherwise, just anything you see, anything you feel, the air, the breeze you feel, no, the pleasure of an air-conditioned room, or you see the beauty of the trees, you see the green of the pastures, you even see any form of intelligence, technology, you can constantly, each of us, we can constantly see Krishna everywhere. That's not difficult. The difficulty is the desire. Do I want to see Krishna everywhere? If I want to be the center, I don't want to see Krishna everywhere, because it means I'm not the center anymore. I'm somewhat on the side and I'm very small. So if I want to be in the center, I cannot put Krishna in the center. Center, in geometry, the center is one point, right? You cannot have 2 points. So either we put Krishna in the center of the circle, or we want to put ourselves, which is kind of artificial and very fragile as a situation. It's very hard to keep that center. So, does it help, this explanation?
Very much, yeah, it helps. But it also leads to other doubts. I've been sharing this in some sanghas when I have the opportunity to speak, and because I heard it from you a long time ago in Ghana when you visited one time, and you were explaining the 3 different aspects of Godhead, and you were saying that the smallest aspect of God can be understood by many people. The universal aspect of God can be accepted by many people. But the medium aspect of God is very difficult for people to accept. And so, as you're explaining, even those who have the wish, who have the desire to see God in everything, they see God in everything, yet they they fail to accept that this Godhead also has a form. And I'm wondering why that is very difficult for people in general to understand, whereas it's not so difficult to understand the minute aspect of God and the gigantic, the universal aspect of God. But that medium aspect, which is like a personal form, is very difficult to be understood.
Okay, thank you. You see, anybody who thinks about these things can understand that, okay, if God is in everything, if God controls everything, it must also be microscopic, right? It doesn't control only the bodies, but it controls the cells, and it controls the molecules, and it controls the atoms. So it must be very small to arrange and pervade everything. Even traditional or even other religious denominations say, okay, God is omnipresent. So how it is he's omnipresent? He's omnipresent because he pervades everything. So how he controls, we spoke about a flower, right? A flower comes in a certain form because there's a DNA. There is some information, right? Genetic information that says, okay, now you grow blue, you grow yellow, you go red, and so on. You take this shape, you have this type of petals, you have this type of fragrance. So somebody who thinks about this thing and is faithful and he has faith, he would think, yeah, God must be very small. It's not, in one sense, it's not difficult because he can do anything. He can also be microscopic, so it can be pervading, like fire within wood. You may not see it, but it pervades everything. So intellectually, we can get to that. Macroscopic, gigantic, humongous. It's also easier to understand intellectually because everything is so big. The planet is so big. The oceans are so big. The sky is so big. The clouds, the sun, the moon, the stars. You know, just look at outside. Everything is so big. So God must be also big. Must be bigger than this. Must be, I don't know, up in the sky somewhere, controlling everything, or must be so big that this universe is just part of his power. Okay, so this can be intellectually, uh, intellectually, intuitively, we can understand that because we know the control comes from being big or from being very, 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 very small, like the DNA, right? DNA controls the bodies because it's very small, it's inside the cell. Okay, but in our experience, we have never seen somebody who is like us, 5, 6 feet in tall, and apparently he has a history in this world. He has a birth. Krishna was born in Mathura, and then he has some childhood in a village in North India. And then, okay, he goes back to Mathura, then he goes to Dwarka, then he goes to Kurukshetra, and he has children. Of course, whatever he does is special. No, he lives the Govardhan Hill. He has 16,108 wives. And he does different, you could say, miracles, extraordinary things. He expresses extraordinary wisdom, but it's like us in terms of size. And this is completely beyond our capacity to understand because it's beyond our experience. We never saw this. Now, when we think of strength, we think of a big body. Like in Africa, you still have wild elephants, right? And a wild elephant is so powerful. Sometimes you see that they just charge on a van of tourists and they just destroy things, destroy a village, kill people without even much effort, just by running. They take. So we see, oh, he's so big and he's so strong. That means we have the experience something bigger is stronger than us. So how come somebody who is like us in shape, in the 2 arms, 2 feet, 2 ears, 2 eyes? How come a person who is like a human? How can he control the whole universe? I can control the movement, the orbits of planets. So that's beyond our capacity. Therefore, we need to understand that the Krishna, that's one manifestation. His original manifestation is in a human form, but then as Paramatma, he pervades everything, like a minuscule, every atom, and between the atoms and within everybody's heart. So he pervades the whole cosmos. Akshirudakasha Vishnu Paramatma. Is that Mahavishnu is so big that the universe come out of his pores. Like for us, when we sweat, little drops comes out. So for Mahavishnu, that little drop is a universe. So it's difficult. Would you agree?
Yes. Yeah. Because we try to judge things from our angle. So it's difficult to accept that somebody like in our form will be able to look after everything.
Yeah. Therefore, Krishna in
yeah.
Bhagavad Gita also shows his universal form.
Yeah.
Arjuna asked, please show me how you pervade this whole universe, because I see you in front of me. In fact, at the end of the universal form, Arjuna say, I'm sorry, sometimes I spoke with you as a friend, sometimes I even joke with you as a friend, sometimes I say, hey, you're cheating, sometimes, hey, you're saying something nonsense like that. So I'm sorry, Arjuna says, because I treated you as my equal. But now I see, and the universal form is Krishna, who shows, yeah, this is how I pervade. You can see past, present, and future, all the devatas. You can see all the elements, the fire, all the floods, the oceans, all the beasts, all the powers and luminaries in one place. And then he retracts it, because it's just an aspect of him. And these powers, see, Krishna, another power of Krishna is his renunciation, right? So he doesn't need to show it every moment. Hey, look, 4 arms, 8 arms, 16 arms, 1,000 arms. He doesn't have that emotional need of validation. We condition soul often, if we have a little opulence, a little degree, education degree, or a little beauty, or a little money, we want to show off immediately. Look, I'm rich. Look, I'm beautiful. Look, I have education. Look, I have influence. We are always eager to do that, to show that we are something. We are not just anybody. We are not ordinary. We have something extraordinary in some field. If we are not beautiful, maybe we are knowledgeable. If we are knowledgeable, maybe we are rich. If we are not very rich, we may be powerful in some other way, influencing others, politically maybe. So we are very eager to show our opulence. But Krishna, he doesn't need that. He's Atmarama. He doesn't need our validation. So he comes, he walks in this world, he becomes a charioteer of Arjuna. Charioteer is very low. Charioteer is a Shudra. It's not a Kshatriya. Charioteer is a servant, just like, I don't know, like a bus driver, okay? It's not the head of the company. It's not a businessman. It's not a professor. It's a bus driver. Yeah, we respect it, but it's not like a big social position. So Krishna takes that thing, or that position. Yeah, I'm Partha Sarathi. I'm the charioteer of Arjuna. Arjuna is the boss, and Krishna tends to the horses. He doesn't care. He doesn't care to show, oh, I have everybody has to know that he is God. No.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Dear devotees, anyone with questions, comments, realizations? Madhavan Prabhu, please give me unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for giving us this lecture and giving us your time and your love. I quite appreciate everything. My question or my concern is that the more people are religious, the more difficult it is for them to take to Krishna consciousness. You know, it's even easier to preach to an ordinary person who is not very religious. So I would want to think that those of us that are devotees now, we are previously impersonalists. And I think we are just fortunate enough to meet a guru or a very pure devotee. And that's why we're able to follow this process. And then from this translation also, they mention that because of serious attitude. So what do we mean by this serious attitude? When we even know that even people who are very, very religious, the more they are religious, the more they refuse to take Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we need to, as you asking, we need to understand what is the seriousness. In other words,
Yes.
see, in everything in life, we have to be serious. Serious meaning we need to be focused and we need to deny ourselves distractions. Anything you want to do in life, you want to be successful at work, you want to be successful in your relationship, you want to be successful as a student, you need to be focused, you need to be serious. That's like a given in this world, because otherwise Bahu Anantas Krishna says that the mind goes in so many directions. Vyavasayatmika buddhir. One has to have that fixed mind that this is my priority. But we need to understand what is that priority. The priority is to love God. Srila Prabhupada many times he says, look, unless you love God, that's not a first-class religion. But if you are loving God, that's great. That's good. You don't have to change your externals. Now, when you say many people are very religious, what does it mean? Very serious in their religion. What does it mean? Are they serious in wanting to understand God in the sense that, okay, I want to understand more and more about God. I want to understand more and more how I can open my heart and develop love for God? Or am I developing an identity as I'm part of this group? I'm Buddhist, I'm Christian, I am Islamic, I'm Shia or Sunni, I am Protestant, I'm Catholic, I'm of this church or the other church. What does it mean? You may be very serious, like there are even football supporters. They're very serious. They're very serious. Once I was walking in Abidjan one night, near a bar, Abidjan in Ivory Coast, near a bar, they were watching a Champions League match between Barcelona and Milan. I mean, here in Africa, and they're watching some European football, and they were very absorbed.
Yeah.
So you know that, many people like, I don't know,
Yes.
Manchester United or now
Like
Manchester
soccer.
City.
Yes.
So they're very serious. In fact, many people, they're so serious, they spend all their money on all the vacation to see their football team, right? They
Yeah.
go, they travel, a lot of austerity. Is raining in the stadium. So, but that seriousness obviously is useless. That won't give you Krishna prema. Now, when somebody is religious, we can appreciate the religiousness and their dedication and their faith, but it's a faith that opens up to know more, or it's a type of faith that closes them. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that there are three types of knowledge: Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, Tamoguna. And in Sattvaguna, one can see that there is a spiritual principle unifying spiritual principle behind everything. Okay? That's Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. In passion, we see external differences are real. So we see in a separate way. This person is from this country, this person is from that country, this person from this religion, this person believes this person. We see they are really different. A Muslim is not a Christian is not a Buddhist, and they really believe it's not. We should know, no, they are souls. Now they are playing a role on the stage of life, but they're souls. But for somebody in passion, no, this is a Muslim, and this is a Christian, and this is a Hindu, and this is an atheist. And then in ignorance, in Tamoguna, Krishna says, ignorance sees one thing as everything. Krishna Bhat. It sees one narrow idea as everything. So there are people who are very serious. They're even willing to sacrifice their life for a religion. But their knowledge, it's an ignorance, means it's very narrow-minded if they're not open. Because God is big. God is big, just like, I don't know if I said that last time, but even if I said it, it's always good. There was Srila Prabhupada, I think it was in Australia, speaking with some priests, and they were saying, no, Jesus is the only Son of God, only begotten Son of God. Srila Prabhupada asked them, but is God limited or unlimited? And they said, no, it's unlimited. And then Srila Prabhupada asked, but so if he is unlimited, why should have only one son? What is the logic? So if somebody who is purified, then he will be open to, oh, okay, I got in touch with God through this tradition, and I'm very grateful. Whatever tradition is that, I'm very grateful. And maybe there is some more knowledge somewhere else. It's like school. If you have an advanced education, you studied in the kindergarten, you got something, then you studied first grade, second grade, third grade, right? Then you got high school, then you go to a university. These are different institutions, but the same thing is education. So you don't hate your kindergarten, you don't hate your first grade, you don't hate your high school, but you move on. You move on because that high school cannot give you a PhD. It just don't have it. You go to a high school, can I have a PhD? Sorry, sir. We don't give PhDs. We don't have it. We don't have the structure. We don't have the method. We don't have the setup for that. So you want to know God, how he is in the spiritual world? Sorry, you need to come to this university. In that group, it's not, there isn't that information. So we have to see. And we have also to understand one thing, that unfortunately certain practices like eating animals restrict our consciousness. So often makes us fanatical. Now, we may be very serious in the sense, okay, we are dedicated, we are even willing to give our life, just like there are suicide bombers. We hear suicide bombers. They're willing, they say, no, this is for God, and God wants me to do this. I go in a marketplace, I just explode myself. Allahu Akbar. And I think I'm doing devotional service to God. And I'm killing housewives who are buying tomatoes. So sometimes, and I don't want to be like generalized, but religions in which they still maintain violence to animals, they tend to restrict their consciousness. And so sometimes they become fanatic. Sometimes it's also, see, everyone is different, okay? We cannot just generalize, oversimplify a blanket statement. Christians are like that. Islam is like that. Hare Krishnas are like that. You know, there's a lot of variety also about Hare Krishna, right? A friend of mine is telling me about a fight for a land in Ghana. I don't mention more details, but you can see even among Hare Krishna, there are many types, and sometimes Hare Krishna devotees, they're not very good character, right? We have all experience of that. So we cannot generalize, but it's a fact that sometimes these habits, like every day being responsible for violence against the mammals, against birds, then of course the consciousness gets squeezed, they get constrained, they get shrunk. Huh? So we may, yeah, maybe very serious, but in a very narrow-minded way, in a fanatical way, which is, in one sense, the opposite of knowledge. But we should appreciate whatever people do. They do their prayers, they do their attendance of their services, they do maybe charity, they listen to their lines, the prophets. We should appreciate that. But we have to understand, okay, this is kindergarten or this is high school. It's not yet university. Like that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Robert. I think it was Bernard Shaw who once said, we're always talking about peace, but every day at our tables there is violence, referring to meat consumption. So that's very beautiful. His Grace Shriman Varahacharya Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, Sashamambo Obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Sangha devotees.
Okay.
Nice having your Sangha once again here, KAUNTEya Prabhu. The question I want to ask, it's not question and maybe a bit of comment. I'm very happy hearing you, and maybe the topic of today on detachment, vairagya, and the explanation given also. And also, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have that verse that talks about vairagya, Vasudeva Bhagavati, Bhakti Yoga Prayogita, Dhanayati Asu Vairagyam, Jnanam Yad Brahma Darshanam. That if one engages in Krishna consciousness and apply himself to devotional service to Krishna, then automatically knowledge and detachment as well as self-realization manifest. So, but what is baffling and really what I'm telling you, it's been very much disturbing to me. A few days since somebody gave class here last week. It's been very disturbing to me because I'm beginning to feel that it is becoming, it's the opposite of what we expect. If you engage in Krishna consciousness and apply devotional service, automatically knowledge and detachment and self-realization are supposed to follow suit. That's what Bhagavatam says. But we're seeing people who say they've been practicing devotional service, living the holy Dham, and what they are preaching in the name of Bhagavatam is discouraging people about detachment. Because some people do this, some people do that, some people abuse this. Just like you rightly said, not every Hare Krishna is perfect. But what the scripture says is different. What the scripture says, in fact, I thought that if you ask me what distinguishes or differentiates Krishna consciousness from other religions, I would say the fact that Krishna consciousness is leading us, is reminding us about going back home every now and then, and the degree of our detachment now, every now and then. That is what differentiates us from other religions. And that's what I love about Krishna consciousness. And that's what anyone should love about Krishna consciousness. That's what I think. But when we see people, devotees nowadays, preaching and emphasizing that vairagya, detachment, surrender, that is bogus, it's nonsense. Speaking of Bhagavatam, so I want to know why is it that Krishna consciousness is not giving that result that the scripture says. The scripture says that by engaging in Krishna consciousness, automatically There will be taste, vairagya, and knowledge will manifest. But we see now this is not happening. Even when you talk about it, when some people even love it, love that kind of discussion. Oh, wonderful. Now, I'm just scared. What has Krishna consciousness become? What is happening? So, Prabhu, you can please throw light on this. I hope my point is clear. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Can I ask Sade Prabhu to put on the screen verse Canto 1, chapter 2, text number 6? And why this verse? See, because the verse you rightly mentioned, rightly quoted, is 127. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Ashu Vairagyam Ashu, very soon. Jnanam Sha Yahadahai to come. So you're right, okay, but if the Bhagavatam says that will come like this, Jnana and Vairagya, we see so many devotees are very attached and they don't have much knowledge. Sometimes they even talk nonsense, or they confuse, or they're always on the negativity. Oh, I heard this, oh, I heard that, and the problem and that problem. So why is that? So I would like if Sadhya Prabhu can share the previous verse, because the previous verse says that that devotional service should be hahaituki apratiyata yayatma suprasiddhati.
Prabhu, did you say 127?
126.
126, okay.
So that verse, we will see it in a moment, says that to satisfy the soul, yayatma suprasidati, the atma, for the atma, the self, for us to be happy. That means no negativity, satisfaction, a sense of peace, a sense of fulfillment. It has to be unmotivated and uninterrupted. You see top text 6 right there. You want to click on it? Yes. So Savaipum Samparo Dharmo. What's the highest dharma? It's Yato Bhaktir Adokshaje, which brings to Bhakti to Adokshaja, to Krishna. But here there are two very important considerations. It has to be Ahaituki, that means causeless. Hetu means cause. Ahaituki means without a personal motivation, doesn't have to be mixed, and has to be apratihata. In other words, unbroken or uninterrupted. It has to be constant. Now, if we come to bhakti, we all practice in bhakti, we chant the holy names, we all do bhakti, right? That's a given. Now, but do we have motivations? Do we have contaminations and arthas? Do we still nurture a desire for power, an envy towards other devotees? Do we practice offenses? Is it uninterrupted? Is it uninterrupted, or when we finish our 16 rounds, we put the japa down? Okay, finish with this. Now let me watch a movie, or let me do something else. Let me criticize devotees. So, for getting these results, which the next verse speaks, knowledge, detachment. Detachment also means peace of mind. I'm not attracted to this world. I'm not attracted to position. I'm not attracted to influence. I'm not attracted to control others. Ishvara Bhav. I don't need to control others. I don't need to be the dominator, the predominator. I don't need to be the boss, the chief. I don't need to be the king. I don't need to be, even in my family, I don't need to be the boss of the family. Okay? I'm a servant. I'm happy being a servant. I'm a lover. I can love everybody. And uninterrupted. How do we use our time? So if we somehow get to this stage, then we get to this point of Janayati Ashubharagyam Gyanam Chayadai to come. It's like when you put a radio, right? You need to put the radio on the right frequency. You have a nice radio, and you could take many things, right? You could take GBC, Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. You can take BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. You can take so many things. But if you want, say, a particular station, you need to fine tune it. Otherwise, there will be either you are not in the station at all, or there will be a lot of disturbances, all those sound.
Yeah.
We all have experience of that,
Yeah.
right? So if we somehow manage by mercy, by effort, by association, by somehow time management, if we manage to be uninterrupted, then of course knowledge will flow, detachment will flow, taste will flow, and we'll be happy in the heart. Yayatma suprasidati. Otherwise, there will be so many disturbances. The radio is there, but we can't hear. But what is said? What is it? So Krishna is in the heart. Krishna sees. Do you really want to serve me at every moment? Are you always thinking to how to make the right choice? Some devotees, as you mentioned, we all know, some devotees don't seem to really be thinking, should I say this? Should I do that? They just open their mouth and they criticize. I'm not saying we should not criticize because certain things you see, no, should be done better, but to whom we say, how we say, when we say, with what motivation, are we really motivated to high to key, meaning are we really just motivated to improve the situation, to defend the principle, or just we are inimical, we are antagonistic, we are against somebody? So I'm sure I'm not saying anything new, but just like the radio, to be really clear as to be on that, and has to be always on that. If somebody touches the little thing, then they go, oh, but it was on this. No, I moved it to another station. Then then you don't get the idea. You don't get the knowledge because you hear this, you hear that, you see this, you see that. You see? So Lord Chaitanya is the most magnanimous. Why? Because he completely destroyed this concept of caste, birth. You can be coming from anywhere, any past. You may be, Jagai Madai, okay? Everybody knows the story. I don't need to repeat it. You can be Jagai Madai. You can be really a criminal, a rowdy. You can be a sadistic person, really enjoying giving pain to others. But then it has to stop. It has to stop. There is that scene in the gospel. Some of you have seen the movie Jesus of Nazareth from 50 years ago. There is that scene. Jesus was getting a little famous as a teacher. He had some following. One day he was in Jerusalem, and then they bring a woman and they throw her on the ground, and they're about to stone her to death. And they say, Rabbi, look, this woman is an adulteress. We caught her red-handed. She's an adulteress. So according to Jewish law, we can kill her because she's a sinner. So Jesus looks up very calmly and he says, those among you who are without sin, let them cast the first stone. And then everybody's still with the stones, still thirsty of violence, of justice, quote unquote. And then finally you see them, they are realized each one has the sin, no, so they throw the stone, they get out. But the point is that after Jesus looks at the woman and say, go and sin no more. That's the important thing I want to bring up now. He knows she has some problem with sense control. She has some problem with fidelity to the husband. Okay, he's not denying that, but he looks at her and say, "Now you go. You're saved, at least from the stoning. You're saved, and sin no more." So I cannot say that after I joined the Hare Krishna movement, I'm not sinned anymore. I cannot say, I'm sorry. Sorry, you get this type of teacher today. But I cannot say in my last 45 years, I've never sinned. I cannot say. So I cannot demand, oh, where is my Vairagya? What is my knowledge? What is my realization? Why I don't see Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan? Because I'm still a sinner. I'm still a sinner, so I don't deserve those things. But I see other devotees in my life. I met so many devotees. They deserve more than me. I know. I'm not saying because of humility, no, to show off. Oh, they're better than me. No, they are better than me. They're maybe no, for whatever reason. Even if they have a better birth, more sattvic, they're much, or even a birth comparable to mine in a Western family, but they're so absorbed. They're better than me. So if they have more feelings, it's fair. I cannot claim, no, I should have more than what I have. I'm already receiving so much mercy. Like Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj was saying, I'm blessed by the best. I'm in Puri. Just these days, I was listening to so much katha. We were going here, Samadhi, Haridas Thakur Samadhi, Gambhira. 12 years, Lord Chaitanya lived there in separation from Krishna. Patita Pavanas, the form of Jagannath, which you could see from outside. So I'm already receiving much mercy. I'm grateful, but I cannot demand, oh, what is my Vairagya? Complete Vairagya. What is my knowledge? Complete realization. So I don't deserve it. But I know that if one day, hopefully soon, if one day I just say, okay, no more Maya, no more this, no more distraction, 100%, then it will come. Because in my years of Krishna consciousness, when I was close to that absorption, I was happier. Can I tell you a story, an autobiographical story?
Please do, yes.
Okay, one day I was in my Guru Maharaj room, Japtaka Maharaj, okay? And he is the minister, he was and he is the minister of congregational development. So he had discovered this self-preaching and now we call Bhakti Vriksha. We all heard, right?
Yeah.
So he said he needed to create a manual. Other GBCs demanded because he discovered this thing, but there was no text. There are a few articles here and there, but there was no book that says, okay, this is how you do Bhakti Vriksha. And there was one devotee, Srila Prabhupada disciple, was supposed to write it, then it didn't. So my spiritual master was quite frustrated. And I was there in the room. And that, till then, I kind of avoided getting into this service because I know it's a lot of work. So I was kind of, like, who, me? No, me. So at that day, my guru was sitting there, was frustrated. He say, there's a saying in Hindi, this thing is eating my head. There's a saying in Hindi, maybe also in some other language. This thing is eating my head. Something that pressurizes you. So at that point, I said, okay, Guru Maharaj, I'll do it. I'll write this book. I'll put it together. I knew the principles, but so then anyway, to make a long story short, I did my research. I put the book together. At one point, the last thing was to do the layout. And I had one god brother who was working in Germany. He was working for a UFO magazine, okay? But he knew layout. So we had images, we had text. So I went to sit with him for a couple of weeks. And it was winter. It was a small German town, all foggy, all dark, all the trees, no leaves. So it was really dark. We were in a calmy place because he was living with the owners of this magazine where he was working. So in his free time, he will do the Bhakti Vriksha manual. And there were so many things like none of us was a cook. Okay, we will just do some half-burn khichdi and eat. It was really austere, materially speaking. And I remember after a few days, I was chanting in the office. We were not going, there was no temple, there was no other association, nothing. I was just there to do this work, okay? And one day, I remember very clearly, I was chanting in the evening, and I was surprised. I say, look, the situation is so austere. I'm living in this house with some karmis. Sometimes a dog will come out. Anyway, so I was not accustomed to live in this situation. It was not pleasant. There was not very good food or anything. The weather was miserable. Everything was not pleasant, okay? Everything was unpleasant. But then one evening I was there and I was surprised. I said, but I'm happy. I don't know why, but I'm happy. Why? Because actually I was pleasing my guru. In fact, somehow we managed to bring this disc, at that time was disc to Calcutta. I landed in Calcutta. I gave you the disc to somebody else. He ran to the printer. He got the first copies. And the last day of the GBC meeting, my Guru Maharaj could give a copy to every single GBC.
Jai.
And one GBC even ordered 60 copies. So give me 60 copies for all my president in my zone.
Jai.
And then this was February, March. Next month there was Vyasa Puja. And Jayapataka Maharaj personally mentioned me. I'm very happy that KAUNTEYA does that service. I'm saying that I experienced a drop of that satisfaction. But there was nothing external. You follow? There's no external pleasure. It was just internal. Somehow I was doing something that my guru wanted in a somewhat austere situation, and somehow I feel happy in the heart. So I know that if I'm aligned to that devotional culture, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I won't need anything. I'll be happy. So each of us, look, we are souls, okay? Let's speak frankly. Now, each of us, should we consider, hey, how am I a haituki? How am I unmotivated? Am I putting obstacles? Am I putting conditions? And how uninterrupted? How much absorption I put in my devotional life? It's some official practice. Okay, I do my rounds, I do this, that. I come to the class or something, and then I have other extracurricular activities. We have to see. We have to be honest. So when we will be 100%, Krishna will give us 100%.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for such an elaborate answer to this wonderful question. And Prabhuji, I am on my knees. There are two hands up. I know your time is getting late, but there are
That's
two
okay.
hands up, please.
I'm just talking about apratiyata, should be uninterrupted. So, I can go to midnight.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Bhakta Hassan, please you may unmute. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Your Grace, please can you accept my respectful obeisances? All glory to Guru Deva Prabhupada and all glory to the wonderful and thankful devotees. Please, my question is, it is said that this question came on some time ago about why people live Krishna consciousness, and it was the answer was is because of the leadership. And it is also said that to be a devotee, to stay in Krishna consciousness is individual. It's individual choice if you have to stay or you don't have to stay. And at the same time, it is also said that it is very dangerous for a sin if somebody leave devotional service because of you. So if you can explain, you can throw more light on that for me, please. Hare Krishna.
Okay, depending on our stage, it's like, say, a baby. Many of you have children. You know, a baby, 2 days old, 2 months old, 6 months old, even 1 year old, it's completely dependent on the parents, right? They don't,
Yes.
they don't have any self-sufficiency. Sometimes they don't even speak. They cannot even feed themselves. When they're very small, newborns can't even turn around in a little bed, right? So they're completely dependent on the parents. So in one sense, yes, depends on the parents. If they are alive or dead. Sometime in the West, I don't know in Africa, but sometime in the West, they forget the child in the car, and the car, it becomes so hot in the summer, and the child died. You are hurt. I mean, in America, it happens, right? So then, if the child dies in the car, certainly it's the fault of the parents, right? Now, but if an 18-year-old is in the car and it's becoming hot, he has to get out of the car, right? He cannot just say, okay, no, my parent let me in the car. But you're 18. You're 18-year-old. Get out of the car. You cannot boil to death and say, my parents left me here. But you are 18. You play soccer, you play football, you play basketball. Now you die in the car because it becomes too hot. So my point is this. There are different stages of devotional service, and there are different also type of mentality. The Shudra mentality is that we are dependent. The Shudra doesn't build his own business. The Shudra has to have a job, has to have somebody, a master who feeds him. That's the mentality of a Shudra. I'm not saying that whoever has a job is a Shudra. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying the mentality of a Shudra, I need to look for a master. Unless I find a master, I'm lost. A businessman doesn't think like that. If this business doesn't work, I'll do some other business. A kshatriya, a ruler, doesn't think like that. Okay, if it doesn't happen this way, I'll try another way. What to speak of a Brahmana? Brahmana depends on God. It tells the truth, he knows Krishna protect. So if we are, as a mentality, Shudras, we are dependent on others. Oh, the temple president, oh, the GBC, oh, this, oh, that, even the guru. Oh, they've been bad with me. Oh, they're being harsh with me. Oh, my senior leader, he chastised me. Oh, they didn't give me attention. They didn't care for me. They didn't teach me. That's a Shudra mentality. So you can say socially is a Shudra mentality, or in terms of mental age, is like a baby. A baby, oh, he's locked in the car. What can he do? It's a 6-month baby. What can he do? He doesn't have the capacity or the intelligence to open the car or start horning, not what do you call, blow the horn. Doesn't have the capacity. Now, we need to understand, who are we? Are we Shudras, completely dependent on some master? Are we babies? Oh, they treated me so badly. Okay, they treat you so badly. So what? Can anybody even imagine the worst leader in ISKCON? Imagine the worst leader in ISKCON. Imagine the worst leader in ISKCON. Can he stop you chanting Hare Krishna? Can he stop you to open a book and start reading Sarvadharman Parityaja? Can he stop you thinking of Krishna? Can you stop you going in the internet and listening a YouTube class? Imagine the worst leader. I'm saying everything. He's a cheater. He steals money. He steals women. He beats kids at home. He doesn't follow any principle. He doesn't chant his rounds. He's really a bastard. Okay? Imagine the most bastard leader you can imagine. Can he stop your Krishna consciousness? The answer is no. But if we are like children, or if we are like Shudras, then yeah, because victimization, the word Shudra comes from the word shoka, that means lamentation. Lamentation. We lament, oh, this happened, oh, that happened. Vaishyas don't lament, Kshatriya don't lament, Brahmanas don't lament, and Vaishnava don't lament. They can lament in separation, but they don't lament, oh, poor me, oh, poor me, oh, poor victim. The Vaishnava think, whatever happened to me, first of all, is my karma. Second, is only a fraction of what I deserve. Now, I give you an example, not to show that I'm a great devotee or anything, but just a practical example. I was doing book distribution, and my parents wanted to give me a gift of a car, and I chose this car. You remember Fiat Uno? Some of you might have seen the Fiat Uno. I'm talking about 40 years ago, okay? And my Sankirtan leader, that ironically his name was Akamatma, the soul without kama, he had a problem with betting on horses, with gambling. He may have also had other problems, but he had the problems with gambling. So he told me, look, let's buy this car, give me the money, and I know a friend who gets for a discount. No, I gave him, it was like, say, nowadays would be what, $15,000, something like that, okay? So I gave this money from my parents to buy a car for me to do book distribution, and he just ran away with the money. He just ran away with the money. Now, what can I do? I can say, oh, ISKCON is like this, ISKCON is like that. And no, I leave ISKCON, and no, I'll find something better. Or just okay. maybe I was a little stupid to give him the money. Maybe I should have checked better. Or maybe, okay, what to do? Okay, I don't have a car. I use the car of the temple or something. It's not the end of the life. At one point in 1986, the guru who initiated me, Bhagavan Maharaj, was a very, very powerful leader, but he had his own weakness. He took sannyas very young, and he had the kshatriya mood. Kshatriyas needs women, okay? And somehow he took sannyas very young. When he took sannyas, he had a child, a 9-year-old. So the whole thing was strange at the time, okay? We are talking late 70s, like that. So at one point he left the sannyas, he left the guru position, he just sent a letter, I'm sorry, this is happening, Haribol. I'm simplifying. And of course I was very affected, but one thing Krishna gave me the intelligence that the laws of bhakti don't change. Again, ego doesn't mean I had to stop chanting on my japa, or I had to stop doing devotional service. I didn't stop. So again, I'm not saying this to glorify myself. I'm just saying that the choice is always yours. Imagine the craziest, the most bastard leader you can have, and answer yourself. Can he stop you chanting Hare Krishna? No. Can he stop you associating, at least by internet, with others? No. Can he stop you reading Srila Prabhupada books? No. So yes, it's more difficult. I'm not saying it's the same. If you have a nice, nurturing, loving, intelligent, wise, detached leader, great. 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 He will give inspiration. He will give you protection. He will give nourishing. He will give you inspiration, enthusiasm. Okay. But if you don't have it, Hare Krishna. Life goes on. So victimism, feeling a victim is not a Vaishnava feeling. I'm not saying that devotees were not mistreated. I'm not saying that devotees sometimes were exploited, just serve, but no time for studying, no time for cultivation, no dialogue, no edifying discussions. I'm not saying that in our history there was so many bad things, so many shortcomings, so many, what we could say, priorities which sometimes they were not for the good of devotees. Okay? And still there are. The world is very large, and there are still problems. I mean, we are a young movement, 60 years old, 60s now almost, 60-year-old movement. So it's not, as a religious history goes, it's very young. I mean, the Ramanujas have 1,000 years. The Madhvas have 800 years. Christians have 2,000 years. We, as a ISKCON, we only have 60 years. So it's a young movement. We have to, I'm the first to admit, we have to calibrate and work on so many things. But individually, if we get to blame others, you'll never go anywhere.
Well,
Do you agree? I mean, if you don't
Yes,
agree,
yes.
let me know.
Thank you so thank you so much. I just love it. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very, very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji. His Grace Kaunteya Prabhu. It's very nice you know us, you know Hare Krishna Africa. And as I'm looking at the time, you spoke for like 28 minutes. And we've been here for almost 1 hour and 40 minutes. So much of the time spent here is questions and answers. And that is what we love most here. So we go to His Grace Salika Prabhu. Please, you may unmute Salika Prabhu, my
Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
precious co-host.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Kaunteya Prabhu, thank you so much for your beautiful class and the wonderful answers that you've given to past questions. It is my humble request that if Krishna permits, we would love to have you visit West Africa once again. We missed your wonderful association, please. That's my first request, Prabhuji. I'd like to ask a question for clarification as a result of the question previously asked by His Grace Suman Varacharya Prabhu, because we are on live YouTube, and it is important to clarify so that we don't misinform or misguide listeners on the question that he asked. I'll give a background of that question before asking my question. We are, for those of us who have spent 20, 30, 40 years in ISKCON, we understand that in the beginning days, there were so many misunderstandings of Srila Prabhupada's teaching by early renouncers into the movement. In the beginning, Srila Prabhupada started the movement by strictly brahmacharya life. Everybody was a brahmachari, everybody was a temple devotee. There were no congregational devotees, and the mood was to just start the movement. And as a result of this mood, in the beginning, we found that not only in West Africa, but across the globe, we found that so many young aspiring devotees who misunderstood the philosophy prematurely renounced their lives, commitments. Some of them were in married life. Some of them were in the middle of education. It is not wrong to abandon everything to give up to Krishna. That is ultimately the highest level of Krishna consciousness. But to do that prematurely, also the scriptures tells us is not absolutely correct. So when this happens, we see that those devotees, individuals who have prematurely, out of lack of philosophical clarity, supposedly renounced household life or education or whatever, the later part of their life, when they get into middle age and above, they realize that they've made mistakes. Not because devotional service is not the ultimate goal, but because they have made a mistake of choices they make as a result of philosophical clarity. And so those kind of persons, when we preach in today's experience, as matured, as experienced, having gone through the training for so many years, will it be wrong to say or to preach when we speak on Bhagavatam class, and this is my question, to advise that Krishna consciousness is not a process of irresponsibility. It's a process of taking a matured choices in deciding where is fit for you in the process of devotional service. And I think that was what happened in the class that Vara Prabhu was speaking to. that happened last week. And but I don't know where that misunderstanding comes from, but it is assumed by him that because this devotee was speaking, that one should not irresponsibly take to renounce life because it is considered to be the highest goal when he is not mentally, spiritually matured and ready for it. Will it be wrong to preach like that in the Bhagavatam class? I would like to clarify that.
To preach that we should not be irresponsible.
Yes, to prematurely take to devotional zenith level, which is ultimately to renounce everything.
Okay, two things. I explained the difference between Tyaga and Vairagya. Tyaga is the act of renunciation, which has also external forms like sannyas, brahmachari, saffron clothes, and this and that. Certain lifestyle of Tyaga. Now, Vairagya is detachment. Vairagya, it's just your heart. What are you attached to and what are you detached from? Now, we need to definitely develop Vairagya internally, first internally. Then when it's mature, we can do the Tyaga also externally. There is a saying in Italy that you should not make the step longer than the leg, right? Otherwise you break your leg, you fall off. So see, this is the basic of Varnashram. There are stages in life. If you see ISKCON history, in short, when Srila Prabhupada was in New York City, mostly men came. The only one with a boyfriend, girlfriend was Mukunda and Janaki. And then you see the Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada married them. Then there was, the only other girl was Jadurani. There was no girls in New York. So finally, then they got married with Satsvarup, right? No. Then when Srila Prabhupada went to San Francisco, basically everybody has a girlfriend. There was a different mood. So he started doing marriages one after another. Gorasundar and Yamuna, Shyamasundar and Malati. Well, like every week there was a marriage. It was like a marriage factory because it was a different mood. Now, he introduced sannyasi the first time in 1967 with Kirtanananda. He gave sannyasi in India in Kirtanananda. When Srila Prabhupada was sick, went back to India, Kirtanananda went with him and Srila Prabhupada gave him sannyas. And he didn't give to anybody else. The next sannyasis were in 1970. He gave 4 sannyasi in 1970. Then he went to India. He gave sannyasi to Jayapataka Das at the time and Achyutananda Das, and like that. Now, Srila Prabhupada, his mission, if you study historically, his mission, he was trying different things. He was given different opportunities to different devotees, see also what works. Like, for instance, in New York, once he rented a theater. They didn't have much money, okay? But he rented a theater, he gave a class. Basically, nobody came. 4 or 5 people. Imagine this theater, completely empty, 4 or 5 people. At the end of the class, is there any question? And somebody asked, the only question was, what is that thing in the back, in the wall? There was like an easel, some sort of structure for holding a painting, nothing to do with the lecture, nothing to do with the devotees. And so Srila Prabhupada just looked at this thing, that's what was the only question. So Srila Prabhupada said, this is a waste of money, it's a waste of time. So then he went to Tomping Square Park. It's free, there's thousands of people, you can chant, and you can preach, and there is absolutely no problem, okay? Now, so we can see in Srila Prabhupada's, it's called, the technical word is missiology. There is theology and missiology. If we study the history of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada did certain thing, and then he saw what worked and what didn't work. Even marriage did not work. There is a letter in 1972. Srila Prabhupada says, you can find the letter, I am disgusted by all these divorces. Because these are Americans, they're kind of wild, you know, hippies. And so they got married, and then they divorced after 6 months, 1 year. They were very wild, very restless. So in 72, Srila Prabhupada say, I'm not going to sanction any more marriage. I'm disgusted. I'm a sannyasis. I don't want to have anything to do with this. So marriage was a failure. Sannyas at one point was a failure. So Srila Prabhupada also kind of stopped sannyas. So Srila Prabhupada tried different things and see what works. Certain thing. Now, ISKCON, we learned the lesson. We don't give sannyas when you're 20. Look, it's practically impossible to take sannyas when you're 20. You know that if you are less than 50, it takes a majority vote of the GBC for you to take sannyas. You cannot take sannyas before 50. So we learned our lessons, sociological lessons, psychological lessons, and now we are here. Wherever we are, 2025, it's almost 60 years we are around. Each one of us has his own stage, mental stage, spiritual stage, cultural stage. But yes, we understand that we should not artificially assume a position which is not ours. Even marriage. It's not that, okay, don't take sannyas, but just get married. There was, the ILS, ISKCON Leadership Sangha, it's a convention of devotees. There was one devotee who was saying to people, you should marry as young as possible, as soon as possible. Then I confronted, me and other devotees, confronted him and said, look, you cannot say this. Because people, even for marriage is a serious thing. You got to be ready. It's not that because legally, like in India, if you're a man, when you are 21, you can marry. That's a minimum age. And if you're a woman, 18. But it's not automatic. It's not because the man is 21 and the woman is 18. Okay, now they're qualified. No. How do they maintain their family? How do they know each other sufficiently? Are they committed to family life, to children, to work? There is a letter by Srila Prabhupada. It says, look, everybody understands that getting married means getting a job and supporting the family. Why our devotees don't understand this? There's a famous letter to somebody, I think his name was Madhukara. It's a famous letter. And he was surprised because Srila Prabhupada comes from India, like a normal society. You get married, you have a job, you maintain your family, you stay with your family, right? That's a normal. But then he went to this crazy country, America, the hippie. People would get married, and after 6 months they were divorced. So it's not just renunciation in sense, take sannyas with a big, saffron thing. But even getting married is a responsible thing. You cannot just say. So everything in life, it takes responsibility, takes some maturity, some detachment. Because if you're a grihasta, you cannot run after other women. You cannot just be in vacation. You cannot be lazy. You have to work. You have to feed your wife, feed your children, give them an education. It's serious. It takes a renunciation. Because if you're not married and you work, you have much more money. You can blow it in whatever you want, right? If you're grihasta, you cannot blow your money in whatever you want. You cannot. I mean, we are all adults right here. You cannot. You need, okay, I get this much. This much is for food. This much is for utilities. This much is for transport. This much is for education. This much is for clothes. And it's a miracle if something is left at the end of the month in some case, right? So everything takes responsibility, everything. And taking sannyas or renunciation take not only responsibility, but takes that you're really done with material life. Srila Prabhupada said at one point when he was fried with the sannyasi falling down, he said, they don't want to be sevak, they want to be sevya. Sevak means servant, sevya means to serve. So he could detect they want to be sannyasi because sannyasi get the servant, gets respect, get accommodation, gets everything. So the answer is that we should be responsible, but responsible doesn't only mean don't take sannyas. Responsible means whom are you getting married to? how you're planning to how to plan to maintain. Are you mentally stable enough that this is my wife for life, this is my husband for life, or you're just trying, see what happens? So yes, everything in civilized society, in adult life, everything takes responsibility and it takes some renunciation.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Now I'm wondering how I will have space for food, because this sangha is so satisfying. I feel my belly full, even though there hasn't been any physical food in my stomach yet. But Prabhuji, we can't thank you enough for, I think Madhav and Prabhu said it, for your love and wisdom and your patience to answering our questions, and not just answering them, but answering them very satisfactorily. Now we have Harichakra Prabhu stand up. Harichakra Prabhu. Harichakra Prabhu. I believe this may be the last input, so that Prabhuji may take a break to attend Mangarati. Hare Krishna, Harichakra Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Prabhu, thank you very much for the elaborate explanation to all the questions that have been asked. Actually, I'm very pleased and it's very satisfying. My question goes back to what Varaha Prabhu asked and the way Salika Prabhu also put it. I think another aspect of the question Varaha Prabhu asked was that I think the speaker was emphasizing how people artificially surrender and they say, I live in the temple. And the speaker was emphasizing that the mere fact that you claim you go and stay in the temple doesn't mean that you are what you are called, you are surrounded. And I mean, I personally I didn't see the sarcasm in it, but I also felt that the way she put it, it looked like as if you decide to surrender and stay in the temple, that is stupidness. I mean, that is how it seemed. And I think that is the aspect Varaha Prabhu took it up. So basically, like so far, the explanation you have given is very satisfying, because and you have been given a lot of examples. Like in my personal life, when I joined this movement in 1983, I completed my fifth form education in 78, and I worked for some times, and I before I went to sixth form. So 1983, when I met my Guru Maharaj, I was going to the university, and he told me specifically, that why don't you leave this education and preach for Prabhupada? He just told me like that. Why don't you stop and preach for Prabhupada? And that's how I stopped. I didn't continue my university education. I stopped. And I became a full-time devotee and I was preaching. This same Guru Maharaj of mine, when I got married, he instructed me, make sure all your kids get full education. When I got married and I started having my kids, he said, make sure all your kids have full education. And that became my goal. So the idea is, well, like Prabhu has, you have elaborately explained. And I think you touch on both sides of it. Because like Varaha Prabhu was coming, in the initial stages, we were like in the mood of, what do we call it? Emergency mood, pioneering mood. So we did a lot of sacrifices. We had to sacrifice a lot of things. Even though we might not, deep in our heart, we might not be in the mood of like deep in our heart that I want to forgo this.
But in that emergency mood, we left a lot of things to stay in the temple to help with the preaching mission. And I think that is how, especially West Africa, we were able to come to a particular level where we were able to bring some devotees on board. I have never regretted for once the educational thing that I stopped. I have never for once regretted it. But I'm thinking that going forward, the way we preach to people should also, like Kuntiya Prabhu, like you were saying, that we should learn our lesson and know how to present ourselves to people. And in this way, I think we can make a headway. Because if today we go and tell people, hey, leave everything that you are doing and come and stay in the temple, maybe looking at the situations in our temples today, by the time you realize one little boy in the US will wake up and sue the whole movement in court, like it has been going on in so many places. So thank you very much, Kuntiya Prabhu, for the explanation. And I really appreciate the explanations you have given so far concerning renunciation and how we have to basically renounce from within. The external one will be there anyway, but the internal renunciation is the most appropriate type of renunciation. Thank you very much, Kuntiya Prabhu.
Thank you. See, if I may make a comment on this,
Please, yes.
we need to understand we are a young movement. Historically, sociologically, 60 years is not much in the history of a religion. It's not even 3 generations. And most movements disappear, most religious movements disappear within 4 generations. That's a history, okay? One religious movement over 1,000 stays more than 100 years and attracts more than 100,000 followers. That's a fact. So those are sociological studies. So now we have 60 years of this very, we could say, foreign culturally movement. No, Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam was transplanted in the West, and by West I mean everywhere outside India. So we are still learning our, we could say, our balance. We are still finding our footing. Also, when we say temple, we all know not all temples are the same, right? Sometimes joining a temple which is very organized, they give time to study, they have wise, mature leaders is one thing. Joining a temple which is in the survival mode, struggling, poor leadership and everything is another thing. So it's not just joining the temple, not joining the temple. Sometimes joining the temple can be very detrimental for spiritual life, for certain people. What I want to say is this, just to give an example. You all heard about the Mormons, the Church of the Latter-day Saints, the Saints of the Latter-day, the LDS. Now, they're based in Utah. I don't know in your countries in Africa how many of them, but there are about 50 million in the world, okay? They have a system. And I'm not saying we should copy, but I'm just giving you an example how a religious community manage this, okay, with the new people, with their young people. They have a system that the young people are encouraged to take 2 years off and go and preach in a complete different places. I just met last May. I was in the temple. They had some program, and one girl from this group was telling me how she's from America, and they send her to preach in Berlin, in Germany. Girls are encouraged to do 1.5 years, boy 2 years. They learn the language of the place. Sometimes it's a very remote place, some Pacific island or some South American country, very remote place, and they do it for 2 years. Then they go back and they do their business, they get married, like that. It's some sort of sabbatical that they take. And it's very encouraged, it's very supported by the community. And when you have done that, you're appreciated in the community. But then you're not expected to be, again, doing that 20 years or 40 years of all your life. But they encourage you, okay, go for 2 years, you're a missionary. And they have rules, how you act, how you present, what you say, like that. So it's a strong, I would say, it's a strong experience, right? So I was talking with Manoram Prabhu. Some of you know him. Is based in Alachua. Is the minister for youth in ISKCON, and he was thinking, and he also did doing something like that, especially with the young people who are born in the movement, grow up in the movement. They know Krishna consciousness, they know the philosophy there, they like Krishna and everything, but maybe they never lived in a temple or like that. So he was saying it would be very good for our young people to have something like that. Maybe 1 year you take off and you dedicate fully, say, either in a temple, in a Sankirtan van. You do the full-fledged, full immersion experience as a missionary. Then you come back, most people get married, you do your business like that. But that gives you that strength, that experience of depending on Krishna. But it's not something that, okay, if you stop doing it, you're fallen. Or if you stop doing it, you're failed. Because if you have a similar experience like me, the idea was, okay, now you become brahmachari, but if you get married, it's a failure. Which is actually the opposite of varnashram, because grihastha, it's a graduation. It's a graduation. No, okay, you've done your brahmacharya, unless you have a special nature of renunciation. Most people need to get married. And it's good for them, it's good for society, it's good for everybody. So most people need to be encouraged to get married in a responsible way, mature way, but it's a, what do you call it? It's a natural, organic, positive, progressive step in life. But some of us, the idea was, oh, if you're a brahmachari, if you marry, you're failed, right? Some of us have this experience. Okay, we were a young movement, we were immature. Now we are learning our lessons, so we need to reassess our sociological knowledge.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Oh boy. And Harichakra Prabhu, thank you for your contribution. And each and everyone, thank you so much. Now we have mighty Queen Jambavati, the divine consort of Shri Krishna. Please, you may unmute.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your wonderful, enlightening, informative class, KAUNTEYA. It's been a long time. As you were speaking about the Mormons, I was just thinking that, we're surrounded by the Amish faith here in Pennsylvania. And with their youth, similar to the Mormon missionaries, they have a period where they are allowed a period that's called Rumspringa, which is where they can actually go out and experience the world, do whatever, and make a decision whether or not they really want to continue, with their religious community or go out into the world. The only difference is, unlike the Mormons, if they decide that they do not want to continue being Amish and following that tradition and religion, they are shunned forever. Once they leave, they cannot come back. Now, I don't know if that's within all of the Amish sects, because there are different sects of the Amish. Some are more lenient than others, but I have not heard of any, if there are. But the rule is, if you decide not to continue with this religion and continue, with ways of the world, as they say, then they are shunned forever, which I think is harsh. Very, very harsh. And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on that. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. No, I studied the phenomenon, and we teach about that in the GBC College for Leadership Development. And this Ramspringa, they call it also the wilding. And in one sense, it's the opposite of the Mormons, because the Mormons live at home, in normal American society. They go to church or whatever, but it's a normal American lifestyle, religious and everything. But then they go as missionary outside. For the Amish, is different. They, as you explained, they send the kids out to experience the world, and they're basically and they're sponsored by the families. It's not, they're not running away from home. The family sponsor them, and they are allowed to experience anything: sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and anything in between. So now we need to understand where this Amish come from. Their lifestyle is very regimented. It's not just a religion. It's a lifestyle that covers everything. They don't have cars. You see in Pennsylvania, they go with those, what do you call it? That horse carts. They don't go out and study. They don't study much, actually. They have mostly girls teaching them till, I don't know, 13, 14, then they get to work. They dress in a particular way. They're very, in other words, it's a very regimented and regulated life. They don't have phones at home.
Yeah.
They don't have television. It's a very, very particular lifestyle. So for them, as far as I understand, it's a question of life and death, cultural life and death, if to keep people who are mixed. Because, see, for us, Krishna consciousness, most of us, we are in the world, we work, we do things. So some devotees are stricter, some devotees are not so strict, but Haribol is like a big cauldron. No, some people take sannyas, some people take 3 wives, and Haribol, we are all there. Ratha Yatra, we all come together, right? And we know this person is very serious, this person is less serious, but Hare Krishna. In other words, our personal and social life is not so rigid, rigorous, and strict. So I believe the Amish leaders made the decision that if we want this lifestyle to continue to be maintained, we cannot have mixture. We cannot have somebody in the community who say, has a television and he watches basketball in Sunday instead of going to the service. They cannot. Or he doesn't dress like this, he dresses in jeans and whatever, or goes with a bikini in the middle of the community. So for them, I believe it's question of survival. And he said, look, you're here, you stay with us, this is our lifestyle. If you cannot live like this, stay outside. Of course, I'm sure the parents still love the children. And the beautiful in the sense that the interesting, sociologically intriguing fact is, I believe more than 90% of the children, of the teenagers that go out and do this Ramspringa, they come back and they decide, this is my life. They decide that, look, I've seen this world, I've been to New York, I've been everywhere, but I don't want that life. I want the life as an Amish. So there are choices in life, and it's a trade-off. Anything you choose as a religious group, there is a trade-off. If you become more, we could say, lenient, maybe you got more people, but maybe the atmosphere goes down. Like, I give you an example. I give you just an example. Temple, Sunday program, any temple in the world, okay? You have the person giving class, and then there are a bunch of devotees outside just chit-chatting and gossiping, right? Have you seen that? Have you seen that? Now, you may decide, and I'm not prescribing anything. I'm just saying that you have choices as a leader, as an elder of a society. You may say, no, you come to Sunday program, you come to the class and you listen. It's a religious sermon. Maybe it's the only lecture you hear this week. You have to come. You cannot just stay outside and chit chat. The whole atmosphere goes down. I give you an example. In London Temple, Saul Street, they made a rule. You come to the class, they give you a free coupon for prashad. You come after the class, you have to pay for prashad. It's a system. Now, we may think, well, it's harsh, or, it's a system. You want the whole package? You want the whole Hare Krishna Sunday program package? It's free. We feed you beautiful food, but you need to take the whole package. You want to come only to it, you pay. Because we want to give you instruction in Krishna consciousness. We don't want just to feed you. So people can choose. So for the Amish, of course, I think the issues are much, really, it's like life and death of their cultural experience. So I understand them.
Yeah, perhaps so. I did not mean to indicate, and thank you so much for that explanation. That's very good. I did not mean to indicate that when they went back, when the young youth went back to their community, that they continued with the worldly ways. No.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they just, wanted to go back. Now I can see where perhaps the elders or whatever were maybe afraid of contamination. Maybe they have those ideas and could possibly introduce those ideas into the community. But I didn't mean that, because normally when they go back, they do adhere to the Amish principles and rules and so on and so forth.
As you said, there are many groups and subgroups. If they
go back.
Yeah. As you said, there are so many groups and subgroups. But I mean, you're living there in Pennsylvania. Sometimes you see them at Walmart shopping, right?
Yeah.
They're not hermits. They know you. They know the American society, and this fact that the children and teenagers have a choice makes them very, very strong, because it's not something imposed upon them. And it's an interesting fact that they are growing, actually.
Yeah.
That the average, and they're not growing by conversion. I mean, nobody becomes an Amish, but they grow just by fertility. The average Amish couple has 7 children, and they work very hard, and they make a lot. They make good money.
Very much so.
And they expand. They buy land. They expand in other countries, Mexico, Belize. So I mean, in their own way, they're a very successful community, and they're successful because they're able to maintain their standards.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for bringing up. It's another aspect of considering what to do with the youth, and there are so many considerations, of course.
Right.
But that doesn't really apply to us, because generally our children already, they're steeped in the world, right? So it doesn't really, for a Hare Krishna youth, to just say, okay, now you go in the world. They're in the world every day.
Already.
So there is no point. For us, maybe it's more relevant the missionary thing, more
like the Mormon,
because that will be more productive for us.
Thank
okay,
you so
I think you had enough of me for today.
Yes, Prabhuji, more than enough. Dear devotees, we thank you. We thank you all so much for your participation, involvement, and engagement, and everything in between. Prabhuji, I would like to offer this. That I'm really apologizing to you. I don't really have the right words, but I want to keep you here for 1 more minute, and that is to plead with you, since you are in the down, to pray for this. The last quarter of last year, 2024, entering into 2025 has been a very painful moment for some of us. We've been losing quite a number of devotees. And just yesterday, we learned of the passing of another devotee in Ghana. I believe you know him, but I do not have his photo to show you here at the moment, but I will send you his photo later on. It's called Ahimsa Prabhu. He's a very old devotee. He joined devotional service around 81, 82, thereabout. And he remained a devotee till his last breath. But we humbly plead with you to please remember him in your prayers, and then you present him before their lordships for his safe and smooth transition. This is our humblest request from you, Prabhuji. His name is called Ahimsa Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So with that, thank you. With that, devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant the sweetest, joyous Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace KAUNTEya Prabhu, for giving us such a wonderful Krishna Katha today. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Hare.
Pancha Kauna
Taravyacha, Chetanam, Panabhyo,
Bhavani Bhyo
Vaishnam
Vishnu
Bhyo,
Bhyo Namo
His
Namaha.
grace come to you, Prabhu ki. His co-founder Charya Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayapati Swami Maharaj ki. Guru Vrinde ki.
Right. Thank you, Sadeva Prabhu, all the devotees. It's my pleasure and privilege to be with you once in a while.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hari 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 Bo.
Thank you.
Hare Bo, Hare Krishna.
Very well. Salika the host. Hare Krishna.